Machine learning from drone images maps forest soil fungal diversity without extensive ground sampling. This is Planetterrian Daily, episode 148. Animal data link lower protein intake to altered mTOR signaling and increased autophagy. These shifts slow cellular decline in models according to the controlled experiments described. Human observational links remain indirect and dose thresholds for muscle preservation need testing. The work draws on nutrient-sensing routes that respond to protein levels. Follow-up studies will need to establish safe intake ranges that balance longevity signals with muscle maintenance. Now shifting to metabolic organization measured across fish strains. 5 strains showed distinct glutathione pools, NADPH levels, and pentose phosphate pathway flux ratios. A hybrid strain diverged metabolically from its parental line in the liver tissue assays. Radiometric measures reveal coordinated pathway allocation better than single enzyme readouts. The framework was applied to brook trout hepatic samples across the 5 groups. Ratios of oxidative to non-oxidative flux separated the strains where individual enzyme activities did not. The method supplies a practical tool for comparing physiologic diversity across populations. Next up is work on genome stability mechanisms. Repair enzymes favor certain sequence contexts, leaving other regions more mutation-prone. This bias helps explain non-random mutation spectra observed in human cells. Chromatin state and replication timing further modulate repair efficiency. Most people picture DNA repair as a uniform cleanup crew that patches damage wherever it occurs. In reality, repair enzymes show clear sequence preferences that leave some genomic regions more vulnerable to permanent mutation. Right now, as your cells replicate, these enzymes are scanning for breaks and mismatches, yet they allocate effort unevenly across the genome. One memorable pattern is that mutation rates are measurably higher in stretches the repair machinery tends to bypass. This bias helps explain why certain cancer-driving mutations appear repeatedly while others remain rare. Studies in human cell lines already show that mismatch repair complexes linger longer at certain triplet repeats, altering the local mutation supply. Because these preferences are sequence-dependent rather than damage-dependent, the same lesion can produce different outcomes depending on its genomic neighborhood. Repair efficiency also varies with chromatin state, so regions that remain open during replication may receive faster attention than tightly packed segments. Tracking how repair kinetics change with age or environmental stress could reveal new intervention points for preserving genome stability over decades. The practical takeaway is that future genomic risk models will need to incorporate repair sequence rules rather than assuming random damage distribution. On a different note, researchers combined aerial imagery with machine learning to predict fungal diversity at scale. University of Alberta scientists tested the model over large forest areas. Soil fungi serve as indicators of ecosystem health in the validation datasets. Ground sample comparisons confirmed strong predictive accuracy. The approach reduced the need for widespread manual soil collection. Shifting focus to functional measures in people, grip strength, gait speed, and chair rise times correlate with mortality risk across large cohorts. These tests integrate muscle, cardiovascular, and neurological function in the reviewed studies. Scores track survival data in multiple population datasets. Clinicians are encouraged to add them to routine assessments. Now moving to laboratory work on bond-forming reactions. Manchester researchers redesigned enzymes to perform multiple bond-forming reactions with high selectivity. The variants work across several substrate classes under mild conditions. Laboratory tests confirmed activity on both carbon-carbon and carbon-nitrogen linkages. The enzymes operate without the harsh conditions often required by traditional chemical catalysts. Next milestones center on stability and scale up for process volumes. Turning to environmental chemistry findings, degrading plastic particles release antioxidants, plasticizers, and flame retardants into seawater. Some compounds are already under environmental controls for toxicity. Laboratory and field measurements show additives can desorb under marine conditions. Monitoring now tracks both particle counts and chemical signatures together. The transport process links physical pollution to chemical exposure in ocean ecosystems. Researchers applied unsupervised machine learning to interpret imaging and spectroscopy data from nanomaterials. The approach identifies structural patterns without labeled training sets. It reduces manual processing time for complex datasets from electron microscopy. The method improves consistency when comparing samples across different instruments. Next steps include scaling the pipeline to larger material libraries. A German-American team tested an educational program built around universal human values. Students showed measurable gains in tolerance measures and civic engagement indicators. The design avoids emphasizing ethnicity or nationality contrasts. Results came from controlled classroom comparisons in the pilot phase. Larger trials will test durability of the attitude shifts. The fungus, Cryptococcus, establishes latent lung infections that remain contained in healthy people. Chemotherapy, transplant drugs, or HIV-related immune decline allow reactivation. Once reactivated, the organism can disseminate to the central nervous system. Meningitis risk rises sharply in these patient groups. Understanding the reactivation triggers remains an active research focus. University of Hong Kong and Shenzhen University teams identified fermentation as the dominant pathway beneath the Pearl River Delta. The process accounts for unusually high natural groundwater ammonium concentrations. Isotope and metagenomic data supported the microbial route over other geochemical sources. The finding refines models of nutrient cycling in coastal aquifers. Similar surveys are planned for other delta systems. Hebrew University and Sheba Medical Center mapped the structure of one national charitable distribution system. The study quantified volume handled and the demographic reach of partner organizations. Results highlight how reliance on philanthropy interacts with statutory food security programs. Authors call for clearer integration rules between the two approaches. Additional countries are now collecting comparable structural data. Meteorologists have explored the inherent limits of forecasting since numerical weather prediction began in the late 1950s. The analysis identifies a 129-day theoretical maximum beyond which skill drops to climatological levels. The ceiling arises from the chaotic nature of atmospheric dynamics, rather than gaps in data or computing power. Researchers note that practical forecasts remain useful well below this horizon for most applications. Work continues on identifying which variables retain predictability longest. Genome editing, quantum computing, and extended human lifespans represent documented advances over recent decades. Despite these gains, anti-intellectual movements have gained momentum in multiple countries. The article contrasts mapped genomes and handheld computing power with rising skepticism toward established findings. Authors examine how rapid change may contribute to the disconnect between capability and confidence. No single intervention is proposed to reverse the trend. Before we go, keep an eye on further mapping of repair sequence rules across additional human cell types in upcoming studies. That covers today's science and health news. Share this with someone who's curious about the latest research. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. See you next time. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at NARA Network. Links in the show notes. Quick tip from the network, try modern investing techniques next. Modern strategies for Canadian and US investors. Every NARA Network show is free at naranetwork.com. The age of AI puts real builders on the phone with an AI host. Apply at naranetwork.com. Age of AI apply. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.